Okay.
Well, my name is David Hayes. He already knows my name. um, Here's my email address. So after the class, if you have computer questions, you're always welcome to email me and ask how do you do this, how do you do that type of deal. Don't ask me hardware questions. Although maybe at the end of this year I'll be able to answer some of them because I'm teaching a hardware repair, so I'm learning myself. So you don't want me touching your computer yet. Was he is still working?
She's going to remind me.
Okay.
I got something.
Now this is and I'll go on the assumption, that you know nothing about Windows. So some of you will be bored at first, but I think everybody will get something out of the sessions eventually. So we're gonna go ahead and bring up Google Chrome. Down on your bottom bar, you should see a little circle with green, red, and yellow. Go ahead and click that. Now all Windows have certain characteristics that they have in common. And again, if you have any trouble, if you're not seeing what I'm seeing, holler at me and I'll come and look because I'm operating blind and knowing where you're at. So if your computer is sitting there with a big error, holler at me. I'll never get upset with somebody. Up here in the upper right hand corner, there's three options. There's this X, and the X will close out that window. There's the little dash here, which is minimize. And if you want to, go ahead and click that little dash. Now your program is still running. You just can't see it anymore because it minimized it. But down here on the bottom bar, you should see a little Google Chrome logo. And then underneath it is mine's blue, but you should see a color on it. That blue tells you something's running. So if you click it, it'll bring it back up.
So there's a blue line, that means there's something.
Right. And if your computer's going really slow and you look down there and you have blue lines under a bunch of items, like 10 items, that means you got too much running. And your computer can't handle it. Now, here in the middle, it says restore down. And that isn't really descriptive of what it does, but this is considered full screen, maximized. It's taking up our entire screen. If I click that middle button, so go ahead and click it, it'll no longer take up the entire screen anymore. Now mine's gone off the side over here, so I can't see it. And if yours has gone off on the side, up here in this top bar where it's gray, if you left mouse click and hold down and then move your mouse, you can reposition it, so you can move it. Now to make it full screen again, you can click that button again for the maximize. Everybody good so far? Okay. Now if I click that middle one again, so it's not taking up full screen. Now if I put my mouse over on the far right side, assuming you can see your right side. If you can't see it, then click on the bar up here, this gray, click and hold down and you can move it. But if you put your mouse over it, it becomes a double white arrow. When it becomes a double white arrow, then you can right there. Then you can click with your left mouse button and hold down, and then start moving your mouse, and it'll resize your window. and you can click that bar to move it. Now I use this all the time at home, because I'm doing things that need two windows. Like I'm copying information off this page and putting it on this page. So having that capability works. Now, if you have two monitors, that's even better. But I don't get that at home. For the computer science program here, one of the things that I need to do is I need to market it to all the counselors at every high school across Kansas. And if I have to go flip back and forth between windows, that's going to be kind of a nightmare. So this is what I'll do. I'll resize them on the screen. And I don't really like TV very much. I yanked it out of my computer room so I wouldn't have to listen to the drivel that's on. But I do like Netflix because then I can control what I can watch. So I'll have Netflix running up in one corner, and then I have a pretty good sized monitor. So I'll have a window there and I have a window there, and then I can work like that. Everybody get it resizing? We're going to see there's a more precise way to resize it than what I'm showing you here. If you down on your very bottom bar, there's 4 rectangles. That's your Windows button, and it's over on the it's on the keyboard. So it's on the left-hand side.
Are you pointing something up there?
No, on your keyboard.
Okay.
You see the four rectangles?
Uh-huh.
That's your Windows button, and if you hold down that and you do your left arrow key, then what it'll do is it'll take that window and it'll fill exactly half of your screen. Now I popped this up, and if you don't have anything else open, it might not have popped it up. But if I were to click this, it would put it in the right hand. Like I say, you probably don't have anything else open, so you probably can't see that. Oh, you have 4 windows? And I bet there's a way to put all 4 tiled. But this is the way I quickly do it at home and then after this, I then can adjust it.
Click on one of
them. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and maximize that again. Now there's different ways of accessing your programs. And by the way, a lot of this will work on Windows 7. I wouldn't guarantee 100% of it, but if you do got Windows 7, then you're not totally gonna be lost when you get home. These same 3 options have been on Windows forever. That's just the standard. Is those 3 have to be across top. Now we're going to go to Google Chrome. So if you still got Google Chrome loaded, at that point, then we want to go to google.com. And we're going to search for some images. And we'll stick with my Pink Panther. So I type in Pink Panther and press enter. Hopefully you see this page. Click your images link. And I wish I need to get that yellow for my cursor. But if you see where that's circling, the images is right there. And again, if you have no clue where I'm referring to, just holler at me. I'll never get upset. I'm going to go to this Pink Panther lying down. So I'll click the Pink Panther lying down. You can go to any image you want. And if you got a, and we're going to see this applies to other items too, but if you got a image on your screen, if you right click on it, you'll see there's a save image as. Now if you click that, hi. You got your own? Okay. Then we'll talk more about this here in a minute. But I got my panther.jpg here. And you see over here where it says documents on the left-hand side. We want to click documents if yours isn't already clicked. And then we want to click save. This is going to give us a file to work with here in a minute.
Right click or left click documents?
I left clicked.
Documents.
Right.
And save.
And then click save. Now we're going to minimize this window. So you click the little dash up here to minimize. And then I'll click that dash to minimize too. Okay, we'll come back to that, but we saved a file off, what's called a file. And so whenever you get logged in, just go to Google Chrome or Internet Explorer or whatever browser you use. Go to Google. After you there, go to google.com and type in like Pink Panther or something and save off an image, just so we have a file to work with. Okay. Now these are called icons that you see here. And you may, you probably have different ones than me. You will have different ones than me. There's ones I've installed on the students are not all these. I tend to save things on my desktop instead of documents. And by doing that, this becomes really cluttered. At home, I have one that must have 50 icons on it. And, I know better. So, but it's like now I don't want to spend 2 hours, rearranging it and cleaning it up and moving it here and there. So it's just I deal with it. These icons should be the programs you use the most. That's ones you want to have here, so you have easy access to it. Now, we want to go into File Explorer, and you have to do it a little bit different if you got a Kali machine. For everybody else, assuming you have Windows 10, there's a little folder down here, yellow on the very bottom bar. Now, for those who have a Kali machine, you need to right-click on it and then choose pictures or documents or whatever.
Right click on what?
You don't have to do that. Just click the folder down here. They have to, though. So if you right-click on it and then you left mouse click like on pictures, that'll bring this up. You will not have to do that at home if you have Windows 10. When they configure these machines, if you click the File Explorer, it hangs up on about half the machines. So it's somehow how they got it configured. Is everybody somewhat in the screen looks like this? I know your images will look different. Oh, that's fine. Because we'll be moving things and so forth. So now, pretty much everything on a computer is based upon files. So when you save a Word document, it's a file. When you save an image, it's a file. You download a movie, somebody's emailed to you, it's a file. So everything's based upon that. And this is where you go to organize your pictures, organize recipes, organize whatever. If you do accounting for somebody, then if you go out here, you can create folders and you can arrange them by the folders. Now, some of you may be in the pictures here. If you click Documents, that'll take you over to the documents. And you'll have different files than me. I doubt there's anybody in the entire world that has the exact same files out here unless there's no files. So yours might look different. Again, don't worry about that at this point. Now across the top, you have File, Home, Share, and View. And we're going to talk about a lot of these different pieces here. To begin with, over here in this white area, right-click. Right-click brings up a context-sensitive menu. So it's based upon wherever you're at. And options should only be unique to whatever you're right-clicked on. So if you right-click on an image, it'll try to customize it to the image. If you right-click on a Word document, it'll try to customize it to document and so forth. You see there's an option down here that says New. So move your mouse down to the New. You don't have to click anything, just move it down, and you'll see a side window pop up. And then you should see a folder. So I move my mouse. My mouse is sitting over here in the folder now. I'm going to left mouse click. Now it'll create a folder over here. It's kind of dark blue. You see it down at the bottom left down here. It's wanting me to type in a name. So go ahead and type in your first name. And then press enter. Everybody get a folder created? This would be like if you had a folder of recipes at home. You know, where you had your cakes in one, your meat dishes in another, so forth. This would be if you work at a accounting place. And you have a folder for year 2000, year 2001, 2002, and so forth. What is it in?
I got a hourglass.
Okay.
Documents, not.
That sounds like what happens when we don't right click on these. We'll try to go directly in documents. It does that hourglass and stuff forever. Maybe it's configured the same as the Kali machines. Are you back up and running? Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, I screwed up. I didn't mean to have you save that as your first name. So right click on that folder. You see down here where it's in blue, mine says David. Right click on that and choose rename. Now type in your last name. So it's really easy to rename a folder. You can rename it in that manner. Now let's say that I actually didn't want to even create that folder. I made it by mistake. If I right click on it, you'll see there's a delete option. So if you choose the delete option, then your folder is now gone. And what I'm showing you here with right clicking over here in the white area, that's on Windows 7 also. So it's exactly the same. Now we're gonna it's like added, deleted, well, we're just not gonna keep doing that over and over. I really do want folder there. So right click over here in the white area. And you notice that there's an undo delete. You could choose that, or you could choose a new folder, your choice. And then call it whatever you want. Okay, so now I'm going to go into David, go into whatever folder you created, and how you do that is you double click it. And when I say double click, you're doing your left mouse button and double clicking it. Now this is what you should do. This is not what I do at home. I got family photos spread from here to you can't imagine. I haven't organized them by folders, and so I was wanting to find some pictures of my son when he was younger, and I don't even know where to look now. So you should, under documents, create like an image, pictures folder, something of that type. You can put them under the pictures option here, but documents, I like to put everything here. Okay. Now, by the way, this works in any folder where you have access. So I want to right click on here, and I'm going to choose new, and I'm going to choose folder. Hi. And my son's name is Eric. Then right click in the area again, and I'll create new folder. My dog's name is Mia. One of my dog's names is Mia. Then I'll do it again. My other dog's name is Josie. New folder.
No, this is. Give it your.
Then after you get that created, go ahead and double click it. Double clicking it takes you into that folder. And then over in the white space, right click again and choose new and choose folder. Now go through and create 3 or 4 folders. Think about like if you were organizing whatever at home. So if you're organizing images, you think about what kind of folders you have. If you're organizing recipes, then you would have, the soups, whatever. So whatever your interest area is, and create some folders. Now I've been having you right click over here in the white area. Windows 10 have tried to make it a little bit simpler though. You notice across the top up here, there's some options. This is under the Home tab. So if you don't see these options, click the Home. Now mine are showing here. And unfortunately, I'm not tall enough to really point this out. But if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you see the blue question mark? This is a blue circle with a white question mark in it. Right up there, there's a little caret. If you click that caret, it will hide that bar. So on your computer at home, I may be able to bring that down where I can actually point to it. Instead of going and grab a ladder and climb up there. This is the one I'm talking about. That'll hide that bar to give you more space. Your computer at home or at work may have that hidden, so you can't see it. Now, how you can get that to appear is by clicking that little down arrow now, and you'll see that appear. Now, again, this is just like every other Windows. This has a minimize, this has a restore down, and this has a X for close. Does everybody see this bar? Well, this is the user-friendly way to create items. You see there's one that says new folder. So if you click new folder again, and see, my wife's name's Sherry. So I created a Sherry folder. If I had done this 10 years ago, 19 years ago, then I could have them all organized. I'd see all my pictures of my son and so forth. Someday I'll make the time and actually do this. Now you have to be careful though. I'm storing this on my hard drive, aren't I? So what will happen if I get a new computer or my hard drive fails? Someplace else. Now I'll show you how to make backups, how to copy folders and so forth. So we'll cover that. But yeah, it's just on this PC here. If you're at work, they recommend you do not save it. If you got a laptop, you have to save it, of course, on your laptop. But if you got a desktop, so you got one of those towers, they recommend you do not save it on your C drive. So you have to be careful where you save it to. Typically, if your work's configured it correctly, your documents is pointing to the network. They warned us about that here. They said, don't save anything on your computer. If your computer fails, we're not going to try to recover that for you. So they tell us to save everything under the documents, which goes out to the network. Okay. It's where I want all these computers to talk together. And so I connect together with this cable PC runs out here. That's a Cat cable, Cat 5 cable. There's Cat 6 also. And then that talks to another machine somewhere. So you'll have a server, like a bigger computer that coordinates everybody. And so it saves your files on there, allows you to communicate and so forth. No, but you can save things to the cloud. My computer at home, I don't know how I did it. I need to undo it. But half the time now when I'm saving, and I mean to save it like locally, I'm saving it to the cloud. So somehow I've turned on the cloud and it's putting all my files out there, and I'm wondering who has access to this, who can get to these. And I try to remember when I save it to see if it actually saved on my hard drive or my flash drive even. Has to do with OneDrive. Have you ever heard of OneDrive? OneDrive is Microsoft's version of the cloud, so that it appears just like a folder, like what we see here. And when you save it to that, it automatically goes out to the cloud. So if I sign into OneDrive on my computer here, I can access the same files here. So it's a fantastic idea. And in theory, Microsoft's backing that up for you. So if they have some kind of system crash, they'll put your images back there. If you buy a new computer, all your files are out there in the cloud. So OneDrive isn't a bad thing, but when I'm saving like grades and so forth for students, I want control on that. I don't want to be out there where somebody could potentially get to it. Pictures of my family is fine, but not grades. By the way, Google has that also. I think it's called Google Drive. I pay $1.50 a month for extra storage, and just so I can save that on the cloud. When you use Google Gmail, anybody use Google Gmail? Yeah, when you send files and so forth, you send attachments. You got a limited amount of disk space allocated to you, so it'll fill up. And I was sending Word documents back and forth that were huge, and so I needed more space. My wife wasn't very happy when she was seeing a credit card transaction of $1.50, and who knows what they charge us for that $1.50. But okay, now not everybody may have this. Well, everybody should have something under pictures anyway. But if you go to Documents, and you probably have something here. If you're here earlier, you probably have the image you saved off. If you weren't here earlier, you have some kind of file here, hopefully. I saved off this panther.jpg. I'm going to right click on it. And you see there's a bunch of options. I specifically want to choose this copy. So I move my mouse down and my left mouse click on copy. Now that copies it to something called a clipboard. A clipboard is a temporary location for transfer of information. Transfer of files, transfer of images, transfer of anything. Now, we want to go back to where we were. Now, my folder looks different here. But you see I have one that says David. You may have to search for yours, but your folder should be here. If you double click your folder, you can get back here. And then if you double click one of these other folders, doesn't matter which one, you'll be over to here. Now, if you right click in the white area, you can choose paste. And that should have copied that file over to that new folder. You got some folder or files in the.
I can imagine doing that on top last time. That's just keep going there.
Sure. E down on the bottom bar. Click that. And then type .com. And then down in that bar where it says enter your search, type in Pink Panther. I always choose Pink Panther because it never has a problem making it. My big worry is I'm teaching the job. Search inside the brain, where you press enter. Okay, now so you can right click and see Pink Panther over the right hand side, that image. Right click on that. And is there a save image as? Oh, yeah. Left mouse click on that. And now, click your documents over the left hand side. And then now you want to go into your file explorer, that's on the very bottom. And if you want to copy that, you right click on it. And then choose copy. Left click on it. Now we want to go into your folder, so double click the folder. Double click there. And now you can double click on that if you want. And then right click in that white area. And that's how you copy files. I put this in my Josie folder. And you don't have a Josie folder unless you have a dog named Josie. Maybe that's not really why I wanted it. If I click the panther.jpg, and I left mouse clicked it, you see there's lots of options across here. You see there's a copy right up here. Again, they've tried to make this user-friendly so you don't have to right-click in the white area if you don't want to. So if I click that copy, that just copied whatever I had highlighted to the clipboard. I forget exactly what they call this, breadcrumb, bread trail. But this shows how deep you are. Like you're in this PC, you went to documents, I clicked David, and then I clicked Josie. To go back to David very quickly, you can click the David right here, or whatever your folder name is. You can also start over by going to documents here and then double clicking into the folder you want. Okay, so if I click David, I'm back to here. Now remember what I currently have on my clipboard. Clipboard, I copied that image, didn't I? So I want to put it somewhere else. You can put it here if you want. If you want to put it in another folder, just double click that folder. And you see there's a paste option up here. So if I click that paste, it very easily puts it there. Some people like that because it's all, easy to work with there. To be able to edit copy and edit paste there. Now you notice that there's some other options here. There's a cut. This actually removes it from where you're like if I'm here in the Sherry folder and I want to cut this. Well, if you cut something out of a piece of paper, you take scissors and it's gone, isn't it? That's the same idea here. Copy would be if I took a piece of paper and I wrote down and made a copy of it. So this still exists. Cut would just cut this out completely. So I'm going to do that. With this Pink Panther here, I'm going to click the cut option up here. Now when it cuts it, it doesn't look like it goes away. It won't go away until we paste it somewhere. So if I come up here and I'm going to click David to go back there, and maybe I want it here, so I click the paste. Are you still good? Now this Panther.jpg. Let's say I love this Panther.jpg. I like to look at it daily. Well, if you put it on your desktop, it's very easy to find. If you bury it in a bunch of folders here, it's not so easy to find. Let's say I don't really want it there. You notice these next two tools here. One says Move To and one says Copy To. Move To will actually just move it. That won't leave this copy here at all. Copy will make a copy of it. So if I choose Move To, it'll pop up with all these different options. And you probably see a Documents there. You probably have different options than me, but if you choose Documents, see, I already have a Panther.jpg there, and it prompts me. It says, do you want to replace the file in destination or skip this file? And if I click the replace, it'll replace it. So I'll go ahead and click the replace. Okay, so we'll go back to Documents now. I see my Panther.jpgs there. Yours probably just says Panther. We're talking about that extension here in a little bit. Let's say I want to copy that somewhere. So I'll choose the Copy To. This has a bunch of different options down. You can go through here and look. You see it down at the very bottom, it says choose location, doesn't it? If you left mouse click on that choose location, what I'm doing is I'm clicking in a white area here so I can move that, make it a little bit easier to see. Down in the bottom right hand corner, it looks like 7 dots or 6 or whatever it is. If I put my mouse down there and I left mouse click and hold down, I can make that bigger if I want to see. Now this, and you're going to see this over and over. When you save a document in Word, when you save a document in Excel, you're going to see this same directory structure come up. That's why I'm trying to get you really comfortable with documents and everything on that. But you see documents has a little arrow to the left of it. If I click that little arrow, that'll expand documents. You see I got David there. I click that little arrow. That'll expand David. And I don't remember where I had the Pink Panther at all anymore. So let me go to Eric. And then I'll click copy. Now, you notice that I still have Panther here, the .jpeg, because I chose the copy to, which means it makes a copy of it. Okay, so if I double-click Documents, then I double-click David. So I click the documents over here on the left-hand side, left mouse click. And then I'll double-click left mouse, double-click David. Each time you double-click, it goes into that folder. I had an individual one semester, she never could master that double-click. Because it's hard if you've never used Windows before. If you have trouble with the double-click ever, and sometimes I do, I'm just maybe I'm just not right on it or something. Then if you click the folder one time and you press enter, that's the same as double-click. And that is so strange that the images come up here. Everybody get their files copied and moved and so forth. Okay. Now, you see we got our delete option here too. And if you do the drop down, you see there's a little arrow below that. This arrow right here. Then you'll see that there's options here. Recycle, permanent delete, or show recycle confirmation. The recycle. We have something called a recycle bin. So if you delete something and you need to recover it, it'll be in a recycle bin. I don't know how long it stays in the recycle bin, but you see it up here in the upper left-hand corner. If you choose permanent delete, then it's gone forever. You'd have to get some kind of special system utility to bring it back. So let's say I'm going to delete Pink Panther. So I click the X. Now it's gone to the recycle bin. Now you probably got this full screen now. So go ahead and restore down. So we're going to click this in the upper right-hand corner. We're going to click this middle option. That one right there to restore that. Now over here in the recycle bin, if I double click that recycle bin, you're going to have a lot of information here. You see where it says date deleted? That's this one right here. If you choose that, it'll sort by date deleted. And here's my Pink Panther image. So if I click that, you see the options across the top here. It says empty recycle bin properties, restore all items. Restore, you don't want to choose restore all items. You got 1,000 folders or files you've deleted. If you choose restore all items, it'll restore all 1,000 files back. But the one that says restore the selected item, if you choose that, that'll put that file back. So if you ever delete a file by mistake, that's where you can find it at and how you can bring it back. Now, interestingly enough, you see here is home, share, view, so forth. If you click home, it's going to look like what you saw before. And if you click documents, double click whatever folder you have, whether it's Jeannie, Larry, Lenny, whatever it is. Go back to that folder where you deleted it. You'll see your Pink Panther back. Now I sometimes forget that myself. It's like if I delete something, I don't think, oh, the recycle bin, but the recycle bin's out there. Everybody get something deleted and then recovered from recycle bin? Okay. Macintosh has something similar, but I forget what it's called. Did you get your file recovered? Okay. Okay, so now I got my picture chose here. I'm in my home tab. We've looked at all these up here. You see there's properties over here. If I click properties, this will bring up information about that file. Size of it, when I created it, when I last modified it, when I accessed it. So different attributes. You can click the advanced. It'll tell you more about it. If you click advanced, go ahead and click cancel out of that. So just a lot of information. Everybody knows how BTK was caught in Wichita, right? He saved a Word document to a floppy off of his church computer, and it saves information. It saves who last saved this, when was it saved, all of this information. So he sent in this floppy, I guess, and the floppy said which church it came from. So then they went to the church, and that's how they caught him. So this is part of the information that you'll see: creation, modified, access, and so forth. You see across top it says general security details. We're not going to go into all these options because there's so much involved with it. But if you click those, you'll see all the different ones. Under details, mine doesn't have too much here. It says title blank, subject blank. Date taken was 5/24/2017. I'm assuming there wasn't a real Pink Panther they took a picture of. So that's probably when they created it, if I had to guess. It says Adobe Photoshop CS 5.1 Windows. So they must have created it in Photoshop. Copyright, if they had one. If I scroll down, you see this bar over here, and this is true of all windows. If you have more to see, then you see this bar over here, and you click this down arrow, and that'll scroll through it. Couldn't tell you what any of this is. If you're into photos, then you probably know more than I do on that. Owner of this file is David Hayes Laptop. So if I sent this image into the FBI, no, the image maybe it was some kind of taunt to them or something. Could they locate me? Yeah, pretty easy. My name's right there, isn't it? So, yeah, people don't realize that everything you do on a computer, somebody can see it.
Where did you find it on the-
I scroll down, like I was up here, and then I'm under the details tab, and then I click the scroll down here.
Oh, there it is. Yes.
Now you see there is a remove properties and personal information, but typically your bad guys don't know enough to go out there and clean it up. If he had done that, if he had went out here and cleaned up some of this, then that'd probably been gone. Would it have been permanently gone? Probably not. It'd probably still be residue of it still in the file, and they could have used some utilities still to get it. I'm going to cancel out of that. Now you see there's also an open option here. And this will try to open this. And I'll talk more about that here in a minute. If you click that, don't worry. When it opens up, just cancel out of it and so forth. But first I want to show you something. Across the top here it says home, it says share, and it says view. Click the view option. Now I see my Pink Panther, but you may not, or whatever file you got. You see here in the layout, it says extra large icons. Go ahead and click the extra large icons. Click the small icons. And move your mouse off it and you'll see what it does. Tiles, looks like that. Large icons, looks like that. List, just looks like that. Content, medium icons, and then details, looks like that. So if you've got a bunch of family photos in a folder, and you're trying to kind of get a little snapshot of what it is before you click on it, you can come here and you can choose your large icons, and you can see that. Now, I swear, at one point in time, there was even a bigger way to do it, where you could get like it took up a quarter of your screen or something, where you could see the image. But maybe that's an old version, or I'm losing it. One of the two. But what I want to show you here is, you see over here it says file name extensions. Yours will be unchecked by default. You want to check that. So over here where it says file name extensions, do the little check box next to it. What you're going to see is it'll put a .jpeg or .something on the end of your file. And we'll talk more about that here in a minute. So now if I click the Home tab across the top here, we're back to here. How Windows knows what to do with your file is that extension on the end. If it's a .jpg, it assumes it's a picture. If it's a .doc or .docx, it assumes it's a Word document. You ever have somebody send you an attachment and you couldn't open it? All the time. It's because when they saved it, they didn't put an extension on the end of it. I got one this morning. No, it was actually something I graded. Somebody had uploaded and didn't put an extension on it. And I downloaded it to grade it, and Windows had no clue what it was. So I guessed. I put .jpeg on it. I renamed it. And then I tried to open it, and it said, no, it's corrupt, and so forth. And I put a .zip, thinking, well, maybe they zipped the files. And it was a zip file. Now, how you put an extension on it, if you get an attachment and you know it's a Word document, is you right-click on the file, or you could choose to rename up here, your choice. And when it pops up here, you see it just highlights panther.jpg. But you can do your right arrow key and come over here and do a backspace, get rid of that JPEG, and change it to DOC. Now, by changing that to a DOC, Windows is going to think it's a Word document. So if I press enter at this point, it'll say, this might become unusable. Are you sure you want to do it? And I'll say yes. Now, if I double click on this, it'll try to bring up like a Word, as a Word document. Well, that's not what I want. So I'm going to right click on it again and choose rename and change that back to JPG. Then I'll say yes. That's how people used to spread viruses, and they still do, is they'll name it a certain way. Like I'll send you a file, and I'll call it panther.jpeg.exe. Now, if you have your extensions shut off, extensions are shut off, what it'll look like is panther.jpg. And so what do people think that is? A picture. So they'll, oh, cool, a picture, and they'll double click on it. When really, this exe on here at the end means it's an executable. It's a program they sent you. So you run that, and your computer's just been infected. Now, most email systems have got a lot smarter, and they will not let those through, but not always. I received something from the president of the college. And when you receive something from the president of the college, shouldn't you pay attention? Yeah. And it said, please read this this PDF document that's been attached to read about the new policy. And I'm sitting here about ready to double click on it. And because, it's president, he tells you should read it, you should read it. And I'll look up there, and the email address was not from a Kali account. It was like from dennis.riddle@gmail.com or something like that. And I'm thinking, that's not right. So I didn't click on it. Another math instructor, he double clicked on it, and it was not a PDF file. It was, I think, an executable, and it gathered his password and so forth, and he had to go through IT to get it cleaned up. So yeah, there's a lot of tricks they do with people not understanding about file extensions. If you always have them showing, then you'll know exactly what you're clicking on. Okay, now you can double click this, and it'll bring up in this photos option here. So you can see a little bit better about the picture and so forth. How did it know to bring this up? Because it ended with .jpg. Now I notice you have 3 options here, so you can click your X to close that. You also notice that this open here. So if you click this open right here, it does the same thing. So you can pretty well, I'm gonna make this statement, it might not be true, but you can pretty well go here and do all the things easily by clicking a button. Some of them may not make sense, depending upon what you're working with. If I choose edit here, mine's going to bring up my paint because JPEG does make sense. Now, where it wouldn't make sense is if somebody sent you a WordPerfect file and you chose edit, would it necessarily know what to bring up? It wouldn't, would it? So the extension is what tells it to bring this up. Now, yours may have brought up a different program. You can do associations differently, so instead of using this paint, you could use another. We'll look at some of these system utilities eventually also. But I can click the X to close that. Now, if I choose this history, you see it says file history is currently turned off on my computer. If you have it turned on your computer, then you'll see the file history that was done on that. So changes and so forth.
So how you want that on?
I don't. But if you are concerned, like tracking, this is probably more if you're sharing your computer with somebody, and you're sure that they're making some changes or something like that, you can turn that on and you can see if somebody's changing it when you're not here. Kind of like how I talk about the chairs keep getting moved around in here. If I had some kind of history so I could trace that, then that's the same type of principle. I'll click the X to close that window. Select all part doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This would be as if you had a bunch of files, and we're going to take a look at that, and you wanted to select all of them at once. Select none. If I choose select none, see how it takes the blue off of that? If I click select all, then it puts a blue on that. This comes important if you want to copy that. So you want to select all and then choose copy. That'll copy all of your files to the clipboard. If you had a flash drive and you want to copy your family images, your family photos onto that, if you do the select all, you choose a copy, go to your flash drive and paste it, then it'll paste all those and make a backup on your flash drive. Now, I typically always do a copy. I never do a cut on anything that's important. I lost a lot of files one time, and I think they were family photos. But lately, everything I take picture-wise, I put up on Facebook. So I figure it's there for my family to see and everything, and that way my wife doesn't have to sit there someday and figure out how to get it off my computer if I'm gone. It's just kind of a good storage place for that. Some people worry about them using your photos, but what I did is when I was making a backup of those pictures one time, I did a cut, and then I went to paste it on my flash drive. I ran out of room in my flash drive. Now, what would you think that it should do? Put the images back, that I cut? No, I lost them all. So I don't do cuts anymore, just in case something happens. I always do a copy. Copy is safe. And then after you get copied, if you want to go back and delete it, then you can delete it. Okay. Now, I don't use share very much. The share option you may not even have at home. This would be like if I want to share it with certain people in the company. You see there's Kali admin. You can remove access, advanced security. This is way beyond what we're going to work with. But there is a burn to disk, so that's kind of handy. Is that handy? Probably not. Why do you think it's not handy on these?
What?
Why do you think the burn to disk is not handy?
Oh, they don't have the disk?
No. These pretty much all laptops you buy now, they're trying to get them thinner and thinner. So there is no place to put in a DVD or CD to burn to. You have to buy one of those external ones down at Best Buy. That's what I had to do actually, because I had some things that came on a DVD that I needed to install on these computers, and there was no place to put the DVD to install it. So I had to go down and buy one of those little cheap players down there at Best Buy and do it.
So where did you find burn the disk?
That was under the share,
Here? Okay.
and here's burn to disk. But mine's grayed out, and the reason why it's grayed out, I don't got a disk. Yeah, they're so thin anymore that. Oh, you got one. Oh, so you could burn then. Now, if we go to view, you see over here there's a navigation pane. And if you just click that navigation pane, then you'll see this pop up, expand open folder, show all folders, show libraries. if you uncheck the navigation pane, you see how my folders are all gone on the left side over here? So if I choose navigation pane and turn the navigation pane back on, those folders are there. So if you don't want that showing, then that's how you turn it on and off. You see it says expand to open folder. That'll expand it over here on the left-hand side. Now you can do the similar type of thing. Like if I want to expand documents, remember how we clicked the little arrow to the side of it? So I click that, click that to expand and get that to come up. But a very fast way is, if you have documents selected and you have this open in whatever folder, if you choose that option and say expand open folder, then that'll expand it. There's show all folders. So I would show all of them. There's show libraries. And so if you had libraries in here, it'd show those. And we'll talk more about libraries later on. Okay, I'm gonna shut those off.
You have to have only one of them, or can you have them all three?
I don't think you can do all three, but if you choose show all folders and you choose show libraries, I don't think it allows this. This is more of a go ahead and do it type of thing instead of like checking it or unchecking it.
Mine's got to check on all three of them.
You got to check on expand open folder? Really? Oh, sure enough. I didn't even notice that first time. By the way, libraries down here, if you expand that, you see you got camera roll. You may have that. Documents, music, pictures, save pictures, videos. This is all the standard libraries or folders that come with it. Camera roll is because I use my webcam to create announcements for my online classes. So that's why I say you may not have camera roll.
What's the difference between that document and the document up above?
Nothing. They take you to the same place.
Okay.
This is called a quick access. And quick access is fantastic because it allows you to pin an area you want to always go back to. For example, I teach Java programming on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if I want to quickly go to Java programming folder, I can click this, and that'll take me directly there. Now I'm going to shut those off, and let me show you how to put something on quick access. Now over here, you see your documents, so go ahead and expand that. Expand it by double-clicking it or click the arrow to the side. Go to the folder you created. You can double-click it or click the arrow to the side. And if I click my main folder here, you see I got Josie. You probably have something else. If I right-click on Josie, you see there's a lot of different options available. There it is. I'm trying to blank. I don't see it. There's one that says pin to quick access. On mine, there's a third one down. If you choose that pin to quick access, now over here on the left-hand side, if you scroll up, you're always going to have a Josie folder there. From here to when your computer dies. So if you got folders you work with a lot, whether you're at work or whether you're at home, if you right-click on that folder and you choose Pin to Quick Access, it'll be easily available. So if I want to go to the Josie folder, all I have to do is click Josie here, and it'll go directly there. If I want to click my Java programming, which I don't because I don't got my flash drive in, but if I click web page, this is the what I teach on Friday mornings. I'm teaching web design. So I want to quickly go to that. Click Josie, goes back there. So you don't have to double click, you don't have to expand this and so forth. Takes you right there.
So how do you get off, unpin it?
You see over here on the right hand side, there's a looks like a pin. That means it's been pinned. Versus, you see some here that don't have the pin. These will disappear automatically. To get the ones that have been pinned off of there, if you right click on it, you see how there's an unpin from quick access. And it's gone. Now these other ones here, like I said, don't have a pin. These are my temporary folders. These are ones I've used recently. It assumes if I've used it recently, I'm going to want to use it again. So it puts it there temporarily in a quick access. Let me grab a drink here. Okay, so we're seeing some of the features here. You see there's a details pane, preview pane here. Maybe preview pane is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. If you turn on your preview pane, and it pops up with a preview over here on the side. And if I put my mouse on that, it becomes a double white arrow. Or is a double white arrow on my screen? But if I put it on this line right here, it becomes a double white arrow. And if I hold down my left mouse button and drag it over, I can make that bigger. That way, if you had 100 photos in here, instead of opening up 100 photos, if you can't tell from the little icon, my eyes aren't very good. Then, when you click each one, it'll put up the preview here. See, example, if I go to my web page here, here's mountain I created. Here's a Pink Panther. Pink Panther isn't very big. Even if you do these, it tries to show you, give you a preview of that. Austin, this is what somebody emailed me. He's having me help figure out what's going on with his web page. You notice I got files here. If I click that, that was some picture he sent. Flint Hills, Kansas City, Wichita, and here's a web page he created. That's preview pane. Now if I shut up preview pane, goes back to there. If I click the details, this brings up. Remember when we looked at details before? Here you can see some of the details over here. Doesn't look like all of them. That's interesting. It doesn't show you more. And I click that and shut that off. Now I have a very bad habit of saving everything in one folder. Worst thing you can do in the world, and not creating separate folders like I've showed you. If I go to my documents, and you can click your documents, and you might have a few files there, depending upon who used your computer before. Under the View tab up here at the top, I want to make sure Details is chosen. This is probably what I use a lot when trying to do organization. If I want to see what was created today, you see this date modified, this title right here in blue. If I click that date modified, it'll sort by the date. descending or ascending, depending upon which one you already have. If I click it again, it'll sort by the other way. I had, by the way, you can use this feature in a lot of different things. But I had somebody email me, said that they didn't hear back from me. And I've been trying to be really good about my email because it's mixed in with all the other now instead of going through Blackboard. And so I emailed them back and said, when did you send it? Because I wanted to sort it by date to see if I just missed it. I hadn't heard back on that yet. But again, this shows you it was created. Like if you know you created something back on 8/19, if you come here, here's something I created back on 8/19. Okay, I'm going to go back to my quick access. And I'm going to choose, I got rid of Josie. Let's click Eric, go back there. But go back to some folder. Now the quick access is over here. It's real small, so forth. You can also click this quick access link here. And it pops up and you see there's a frequent folders. So it tries to identify where I go a lot. So I go to CIS software I go there quite a bit. That's weird. Oh, it's pinned. As I say, I don't go there very often, but some of these I do. Like I go to web page every Friday. Java programming I go to constantly. Austin I don't go to constantly, but I received that either today or yesterday. Down here you see your recent files. And you can scroll down and see what ones you've worked with recently. Let's say you don't want something in your quick access here. Like I don't want this panther.jpg here. You can right click on it and you see there's a remove from quick access. This does not remove it from your PC, just removes it from that quick access. My wife is totally paranoid about the internet and so forth. I think she's heard too many horror stories, which are horror stories out there. And so if I have family pictures here when I'm online, she doesn't want me to bring this up and see a little picture of our family down there, type of deal. She'd probably be shocked if she saw all the family photos I put on Facebook, but she doesn't use Facebook. Everybody good on how to manipulate the quick access? Now we're going to go into Word. So you see down here where it says type here to search. This is probably one of the best features of Windows 10. I have a hard time finding where things are stored at. I'm teaching an online class and the student said, I installed a package. I don't know how to find it. So I told the student, I said, go down here, if you're in Windows 10, click where it says type here to search, and you start typing whatever you want to find. So I start typing Word. And it'll come up here, and we got Word 2016. There used to be a Paint on these computers. If I start typing Paint, it is still there. It's right here. You cannot find this this program anywhere on those the folders they give you. So if you go search in the standard place for the apps, you won't find it. I was belly aching about it one day to my students, and I said it drives me crazy because I like the old Paint program. And I said they took it away with Windows 10. They said no, it didn't. They said go search and you'll find it. And sure enough, I typed Paint and there it was. So if you're having trouble with locating something, you just come down here and you start typing it. Anyway, I'm going to type Word. And now we got our Word 2016 here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now when this comes up, you'll see a blank document here. So go ahead and click the blank document. Forget Word. Again, if you have problems or questions, be sure to stop me and say, hey, I can't locate this. Because I need exercise. You can tell by looking at me.
Ask me what I'm trying to do.
That is kind of cool feature. Put down there, type here to search. Down the right, type word. And see where it says word out.
Word tab.
Or no, red tab.
Those things let you do into a taskbar and then just create a shortcut.
There is a way. We'll be able to.
Small, big, so that's pretty much.
Just click that.
That's called an F smash.
Except in the bottom right. And then click blank. That is strange. Must have one of the computers nobody's ever touched. There was nothing under on the documents. Which is good. Because some of the what students have, they put a lot of junk on some of them. Okay, now I'm gonna type something. Hello, Mutta. Hello, Fodder. No, that song. Yeah. Here I am, Camp Granada. Okay. So I've typed something. Doesn't matter what you type. You just type one word, and that's good enough. Now in Word up here, and we're not going to learn Word in case you're wondering. I just want to point out something. If I click File up here, and then click Save. So again, up here in the upper left-hand corner, I click File, and then I click Save. Now down here, you'll see a Browse option. Now if I click Browse, what does that look like? Right. So it gives you the same setup as what we've been working with. You have your quick access here. So if you want to click somewhere to save it there, for example, documents, you can click documents and it'll take you to documents. If you want to save it to pictures, you click pictures. If you want to save it to one of your other folders, you can. And I don't care where you save it at, but remember where you saved it at. And now I'll click save. I saved mine in my Eric folder. Now we want to close a word. So if I click the X in the upper left right-hand corner, you should be back at your File Explorer. And if I click the Eric over here, you now see I got a hello mutta.docx. That docx tells it it's a Word document. So when I go to open this, that'll tell it exactly which application to run. So that's how it makes the association. That's why when somebody emails you something that doesn't have an extension on there, that's why you can't open it. If you rename it and put .doc or .docx on there, then you'll be able to double click and open it, assuming it's a Word document. So now if I click this and let's see, I guess it's under home. You see there's an open, and even then it's got a little W beside the open. That's up here at the top. If I click the open, it'll open it in Word. And I'm back to my document. Oh, did you? That's fine. Yeah, it's whichever one you got highlighted is one it'll open. So you just close that and then click the hello Mutta or whatever you called yours, and then open. Now it seems weird that all this associate file, it's called file association. All this file association is based upon just a few letters at the end, but that's how Windows tells what these files are and what to open. Is there any questions on anything we covered today? I know we covered a lot. We're still not done with the File Explorer, so we're going to cover a little bit more of that, and then we're going to talk about this bar down here, and I'm talking about this next time. You were asking about shortcuts. Now, you see if you right-click on something, you see there's a Create Shortcut. Like right-click on your Word document. Since I'll forget before next time, that's why I figured I better go ahead and answer that today. Do you get back there?
Yeah, it's got the arrow around.
Oh, really? Huh. But typically, I'll show you what it looks like. If you right-click on the file, and it could be just the way those are configured. I'm sure your computer at home won't do that.
But it'll do a shortcut to a file, but it won't do a shortcut to an app.
It can? Yes.
Because when we were going through the search bar, that was not one of the options.
Now, what you have to do with an app is if I come down here and type here to search, if I type Word, now I got this right here, don't I?
Yeah.
If I right-click on it, you see there's a pin to start, pin to taskbar.
Right.
Specifically, there's an open file location. If I choose the open file location, here's the, well, it's actually a shortcut already. But it'll bring you to the actual application. And then if you right-click on that, you can create a shortcut. Let me see if I can bring Notepad up, because that was already a shortcut. Okay, so I got Notepad. I right-click on that and choose Open File Location. Still a shortcut. Okay, if I go to my C drive, and where all your files are located is like program files. So if I go there, go into something, here's an exe. Specifically, it says application. We haven't talked about that yet, but that's a program you can run. If I right-click on that, you see there's a create shortcut. Now, this may give me an error because I may not have admin rights to do it. But if I click that, it says can't create a shortcut here because I don't have admin rights. I don't understand that because I'm signed on as an admin. It says, do you want shortcut to be placed on a desktop instead? So I click yes. And now, I have too much on my desktop.
Last row, second down. Up at the top. There, second one down.
Oh, second one done? That right there. Yeah. So that's how you create a shortcut. If I can delete that, leave that there. It isn't good practice to save everything on your desktop. So. Well, hour and a half's flown by. So next time we'll meet again at 4 o'clock and go over part 2 of the workshop. Now, specifically, just like what question you had, how do you do a shortcut? If you have specific things you want to see, let me know, and I'll focus on those because I want to make sure I address at least the items you came here to learn. If there are specific items.